out by the ITU, and we discussed about the three sectors of ITU, International Telecommunication Union, ITUR, ITUG, and then ITUT. And then we discussed about, we have seen the glimpses of the different the phones or telephones which were used in the evolutions, right? And we have started with the generations, right? We discussed about the pre-cellular model, which was zero generation. And when we talk about the first generation, right, which was introduced in year 1980s and which was used for only for voice communications, right? And they have used analog transmission. When you talk about the analog transmission, all our voice information, whatever I'm speaking, right, that information which has to be transmitted only through the sine wave forms, right? When you talk about this, the sine waves, and they are prone to loss due to the natural obstacles. Say, for example, if the sine waves which hits on any building or any trees, again there could be a loss of signals, right? And apart from that, there's the first generation mobile phone. They have used AMPS, which is advanced mobile phone system. In that they have used a circuit oriented communications. When we talk about the circuit oriented communication, how the switching between done from one end to other end, so that is completely based on the circuit switching. And when you talk about the frequencies, right, when we again the frequency which is used for the first generation, which was near about 824 megahertz to 894 megahertz frequency range. So this was the band, frequency band, which was used for the first generation, right? Again, so when we talk about the telephone, right, so which was used to transfer the information through the bidirectional communication. And when we talk about the bidirectional or duplex communications, where it is a process in which both the transmission as well as receiving the signal which takes place at the same time, right? For that, again, we need to have a separate frequency for uploading as well as downloading, and in between the frequency we need to have the guard band, so that there will be no frequency overlapping, and so there will not be any data loss. For that, when we talk about uplink is the data transmission from the user side to the receiver side, sender to the receiver, or from my mobile phone to the base station, transmitting the signal from my mobile phone to the base station or nearby station. That is called a uplink. Again, in order to uplink the data, and the frequency which was used near about 825 to 845 megahertz. Again, it is the 40 megahertz frequency which was used. Again, for downlink, again, so there was a separate frequency which was used, right? Again, 870 to 890. So this was the frequency which is used for downlink. Frequency which placed in between the uplink and the downlink, so that we call it as a guard band to avoid the overlap. We need a gap in between these frequencies so that uplink will be uplink data will be transmitted separately, and then downlink data will be transmitted separately without the colliding. For that, we need to have some frequency band in between the uploading and the downloading frequency. That was called the guard band. Next, in year of 1990s, again the 2G was introduced, right? When we talk about 2G is a second generation, right? Initially, it was called as a group specific mobile, and then later it renamed as the global system for mobile communication, right? And which was a globally accepted name, and which was introduced in the year of 1990s. And I was discussing about in the first generation, and that technique which was used, and analog transmission or analog signal for transmitting our voice. When you talk about the 2G, which started using digital signals. Apart from that, when we talk about digital signals, whenever I speak something, right, from my voice signal, so that will be converted into digital forms, right? So that should be converted into zeros and ones. Zeros and ones that will be transmitted through the air medium. Again, so that will be transmitted through the electromagnetic impulses or electromagnetic waves to from my mobile phone to the nearby base station, right? Apart from that, they have used for multiplexing. When we talk about the multiplexing, right, which is again, which could be possible through the multiple access. When we talk about the multiple access, so again, so we'll have a separate topic for this. Again, the multiplexing, right? Before that, I'll give the few tips and a few concepts. When you talk about multiple access, more than one users, they will try to use a specific resources. When you talk about more than one users, they are trying to use the same frequency. That will called a frequency division multiple access, right? Where again, the specific frequency will be used for multiple uses. Again, when you talk about the time division multiple access, right? The same channel which will be allowed to use by the multiple users based on the time interval, right? Maybe first 2 seconds one user will be used, and then second 2 seconds will be used by the second users. Again, third 2 seconds will be used by the third users. By the way, the same channel or the same resources will be try to use by the multiple users to in order to provide service to the multiple users, so that they have used time division multiple access as well as the code division multiple access. Apart from that, this the TG, I mean the 2G as well as the GSM technology, which majorly supported for international roaming, right? So here, when we talk about the international roaming, whatever the handset you have and the GSM, the SIM card which you have in our country, so that the same mobile phone, the same SIM card which could be used in abroad also. In suppose if I move to some other country, and you will be able to get the services with the same handset as well as the same SIM card in case if they have the tie-up with the other network service provider in that country. Apart from that, there are so many features, right, which were included in the 2G phone. When you talk about first generation phone, which was used for only one purpose, in that we used to convey the information, I mean voice information. When you talk about again the 2G initially, which along with the voice communication, they were introduced, I mean the short message services, right? When you talk about this short message services, through the characters or through the text, we can send the text message information from one person to other persons. Now, I just wanted to know what is the standard size or standard maximum character you can send in the standard SMS. Can anyone has an idea, opinion? You can just type it in the chat box. What is the maximum character you can send using a standard SMS? How many characters? 300. Bharat mentioned 300, but so this I could say, which is enhanced message services. When you talk about standard SMS, which was capable to transmitting 120 character from Mohammed Danish, you're absolutely right. So the standard SMS, in that we can transmit, we can send more than 120 characters, right? If you're trying to send more than 120 characters, now that will be divided into two parts, and then you will be getting two messages, part one and then part two. So that will be called as a enhanced message services, right? Apart from that SMS, and there are some other features which was no included in that the 2G, right, where we can send the emails. The other than that, and you'll be getting that call waiting services. What is meant by this call waiting services? Suppose if one person is, no, your number is busy with the other person, and suppose if you are talking with the other person, and you will get the notification at the same time if someone is trying to call you. So that was knowing as the call waiting services. Other than that, the call restriction services, right? And so here you can block the particular person's number, and then through that you can avoid the services from the particular person, or you can avoid getting call from the specific numbers, right? Other than that, and there are some other features which was included in the 2G, right, which like the call forwarding option, voice message options, right? Suppose when you talk about the call forwarding option, suppose if the user or the subscriber is not in a position to contact, maybe due to the mobile is switched off, or due to the mobile, or the subscriber is not in a place where the coverage is not there. In that cases, right, the subscriber can enable the features that call forwarding option. We can mention a number, and that number, again, call will be directed, call will be forwarded to the specific number which is mentioned after subscribing the call forwarding option. Apart from that, the voicemail option also was introduced in the 2G. Suppose in case the user or the subscriber is in a not reachable position, again the sender can send a voice message. Whenever the person comes to online, or whenever the person gets a network coverage, the voice message will be delivered to the person. Okay, so these services will be based on the standard charges, right? And now to avail these facilities, and they need to pay the certain charges. Apart from that, when we are talking about the 2G generation, again the answer which we discussed again, which was introduced near about the 2000s, right? The Nokia compact model and the other model, no, which were no good capable of providing a longer battery backup, right? Again, so which was designed in a such a way that which required a low power radio signals, as well as required lost battery power, and then which was no again which emits the less power, so that no will does not harm to the human beings, right? Apart from that, the GSM which comes, the two standards, the first one is the GSM 1900 standard and the second one is the GSM 1800 standards. When you talk about the GSM 1800 or GSM 900, so this was the frequency which is used for uplink. When we talk about uplink, 890 megahertz to 950 megahertz, again the 25 megahertz which is used for the uplink data transmission, again 935 to 960. So again, so this is the frequency which is used for downlink, right? Again, so there is a in between gap, a frequency band that is called a God band. So again, so that will be the gap in between the upload and the download frequencies to avoid the overlapping the uploading as well as downloading the data. Now, when we talk about the third generation, right? When we talk about see again, when we talk about the 2G generations or 2G boards, which was near about the data speed, which might be in the range of kbps, right? Might be the 14 kbps to 20 kbps. That could be the range, right? And that's the narrowband communication also, right? When you talk about the third generation, right, which used, which is the advanced version of the third generation. In between, there are some other no in between classification the 2G, right, which we discuss about AIDS, right, and other GPRS. So these are the few other parts of the second generation, right? Again, so we are reached the third generation. The third generation which used the CDMA or WCDMA. When you talk about a CDMA, which is a code division multiple access, again, so that is one type of multiple access, right, where which uses the orthogonal frequencies as well as the wideband code division access. Again, so this will provide a services to the multiple users, right? Again, so in Europe country, which is called the UMTS, Universal Mobile Telephone System. And what are the advantages of this, the third generation when compared with the second generation, is that which provide higher network capacity because it is going to use a wideband code division multiple access. What is meant by this wideband code division multiple access? Or code division multiple access means if there are 1,000 users in the network, right, and if all the 1,000 users they are trying to use the channel, right? In this case, in case if they wanted to use a frequency, again every 1,000 user you need to assign a separate frequency. Again, so that is not possible because the frequencies which is very restricted. Again, when we talk about time division multiple access, 1,000 users you need to assign a specific time duration. Again, that will also again which takes more time again to get a chances the 1,000th user and he may send the data. When you talk about the code division multiple access, each and every user, suppose if as I mentioned if there are 1,000 users in the network, if all the 1,000 users they wanted to make a call to other users, in that cases, right, each and every users they will be assigned with a specific code, right? And I'll be using my code and my data will be transmitted to by based on my unique code values. By the way, all the users they will be assigned with a specific code, so this is called a code division multiple access, right? And apart from these features, right, the third generation which is supported for international automatic roaming. And so there are other features, right? When we talk about the third generation, right, minimum forward channel bandwidth, which was 5 Mbps. Again, so here we got the facility of accessing that broadband network connectivity, where which was near about 2 Mbps per second minimum, and then uses smart antenna, which was used to provide a more coverage, as well as which where we get the services like multimedia services, right? And when you talk about the multimedia services, right, and we'll try to access the videos from the internet and which downloaded at the faster rate, so that they without any buffer, and we can see the videos whatever which is there. And as I was mentioned earlier, the permanent web connection which was connected a minimum rate of 2 Mbps, so it is called a broadband connection, which was provided by the third generation. In the later part, which used HSPA, which is high speed packet access data, again which extended the speed up to 20 Mbps, right? So I think you might have heard about that. Whenever you use the 3G SIM card, at that time 3G services, how many of you have heard about that? How many of you seen the symbol in your phone? H symbol. H. How many of you seen H symbol in your phone next to your network coverage area? And you can see, you might have saw that 3G H plus plus. How many of you seen those symbols? Yes, 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 yes. Thank you for your responses. Right. Yes, yes stands for high speed packet access, right? Which was no the minimum, the transmission rate, which was no downloading, and then data speed, which was near about 2 Mbps to 20 Mbps. But it is not mandatory that every time you will get the downloading speed at 20 Mbps, because the shared medium depends upon the number of users which is connected in the network. Your downloading or uploading speed may fluctuate from some speed to speed. But when you talk about this 3G, the minimum standard connection, data speed will be 2 Mbps, right? Other than that, the 3G phones, which we are calling as the 3-in-1, and especially we use it for the internet applications, right? We use, we watch YouTube, and then we use it for email purposes, and other applications we use for browsing, right? And we may download the applications, right? And then we use for the basic purpose, which is for phone, right? We can make a call to other person, we'll send the text message to other persons, right? And then the third purpose is that multimedia, right? Where the devices, whatever the access we supports for the 3G, and then the 3G service providers, right? And where we'll get all these three options, right? We'll get internet, phone, and then the multimedia option. So this technology we call as a 3-in-1. When we talk about the fourth generation or 4G communication, which is completely based on the IP based integrated system, right? Here again, so every user will be assigned with the mobile IP, and based on that, the user will be uniquely identified. So this will include services like IP telephony, as well as ultra broadband internet access, and then gaming services, right? So again, so the one of the important feature which is introduced in the 4G generation, right? And I think you might have experience with the Geo, and when we bought the Jio SIM card, and where is, even if you don't have any balance, right? If you have the internet connectivity, you can make a call to other persons. In fact, you can make a video call also, right? So that was, so here we say that voice over long term evolutions, right? Through the internet, you can make all voice calls, right? Where you no need to have the separate no balance, or separate no money for making a call, or how we normally make a call. Suppose if I'm making a call to other persons, automatically from my main balance some amount will be deducted. Suppose in case if you have the 4G network, right? Again, if the same person or the receiving person, he has the same kind of features, 4G facility or internet facility, right? Through this internet or voice over LTE, right? You can make a call to the other persons through this voice over communications, right? And that was the features. Other than that, now this the features, again, most of the phones, when you use the 4G network, right? Again, so without any specific application, there are some mobile phone which are coming with the embedded features, that where we can make video calls through the network service providers, right? Again, apart from that, we get a features like the mobile TV, and then high definition television stream, right? We are watching the Amazon Prime and other Netflix movies, right? With the without any buffering, in case if you have the good network connectivity, right? So these are the some of the features, right? We are using under the 4G, right? And other than that, some of the other features, I could say that the good connectivity, whether it is wired or wireless connection, right? Again, so this will provide a good interoperability, and so the data rates, and we are expecting, right, which is 100 Mbps in case of shared medium, right? And you will be getting near about 15 to 20 Mbps, depends upon your the network coverage, right? And so this will support for providing a good interactive multimedia, streaming video, and then internet. So again, so these are the some of the features, right, which we will get in the enhanced version of the 3G, right? Even the 3G which provided these supports, but when we using that the 3G that time, and we face some issues that, and it will be keep on buffering in order to load the video. When we use the 4G, and you will find that hardly you will find the buffering, and immediately it will be loaded on your phone, and you can watch the movies or videos, whatever it could be. And then high speed, and then high capacity, and then low cost per bit, and then automatically it supports for international roaming, and then enhanced spectral efficiency. So these are the other features whatever we are availing with the help of this the 4G generations. When we talk about the next generation, and in India, which is not yet implemented, not yet which is actual use, but in some of the advanced countries like China, and then US, and some part of the Australia, they have started using this the 5G phones, and it is the next stage of mobile communications. It will be faster than that 4G. I mean, 4G data rate speed, right? Again, what the data speed we are expecting is that which is no almost 1 Gbps in standard, but we are not sure that whether we'll get 1 GB of data downloading speed, right? And according to that, we need to improve our the infrastructure so that which will provide that much no downloading speed, right? Again, which is the ETIS is working on the 5G standards, right? What is that ETSI? European Telecommunication Standard Institutes, right? Which again, so they are no reforming their standards as well as regulations, right? What will be the handset features as well as the other features in case if they wanted to start or implement this the 5G networks. No, what are the other features in case if you get the 5G networks, and what are the other features we can get, we may expect, right? And we'll get the artificial intelligence in wearable devices, right? And then we'll get the international standards, and then computing anywhere. And again, 1 Gbps or higher bandwidth, we are expecting minimum of 1 Gbps downloading as well as uploading speed, right? And then you will get instantly, you can see, imagine that suppose if you have no 1 Gbps data connection, right? Hardly you will download the any type of operating system within a second, or you will download the movie within a second, right? That too, the high definition movies can be downloaded in a fraction of seconds, right? Again, the pages will be uploaded almost instantly. Apart from that, which provide again very similar to the 4G again. So when compared to 4G, so this will provide no higher data speed. So automatically you will have more interactive multimedia streaming video, and then as well as the internets. So this slides, which will I'll quickly explain with the different comparisons of no the generations, right? So when we talk about the technology start implemented, right, again, which was coming into the pictures, right, in the year of 1984, which was started, 1970, and then 1984, 1982, 1999, 1990s, 3G was started in 1990s, and then which came into the picture of 2002, and then the 4G we started developing into the standard which is 2000, and which came into existence by the year of 2010. Again, 5G which started 2014, and in some of the country which already started implementing this 5G, right? Again, when we talk about the bandwidth and the technology which uses, right? As I mentioned, so here in the first G, and they were using only the 2 Kbps, and in the 2G they were used near about 15 to 64 Kbps, and the 3G which was minimum of 2 Mbps. So from the 3G we are calling as the broadband connectivity, and the 4G which actually they have started using 100 Mbps, right, which was the minimum, and we are expecting 1 Gbps in case of the 5G network. And the technology which they are using for the different generations, the first generation they were using analog cellular, where the voice information which was transmitted using the analog signals. Again, when we talk about 2G, which was used digital cellular, which especially they were using a TDMA and then CDMA, right? So in the bottom they have mentioned FDMA, CDMA. Again, here in the 3G they were using that again IP technology which use CDMA or WCDMA. I could say that again 4G also they were using CDMA. Here also they are using the CDMA. Again, when we talk about the generation or the switching technique which was used, and the first generation they were completely depends on the circuit switching. Again, in the second generation they were combined with the circuit. Some part of the 2G they were used circuit switching. After that, when they started using the digital technology or digital transmission, they started transmitting the packets, a packet switching technology, right? In all other the generation third, four, and then five, all this technology which you are using packet switching multiplexing. So when we could talk about the comparisons of the generations and what are the features we get in the different generations, right? So these are the additional point which will help you to understand the generation, right? More specifically, when you talk about the internet, there was no internet used in case of the first generation. It was used only for the voice purposes and voice calling. Again, in the 2G, they have used a narrow band, which was near about 15 Mbps, and they have used for the voice call, SMS, and then MMS. And then 3G, which they have used a broadband, and which they used for a global positioning system as well as mobile TV. And then when we talk about the 4G, and they have started using the ultra band ultra broadband, right? Which no, we were expecting that near about 100 Mbps connection speed, right? And so this was used in the other services like the wearable devices. And when we talk about 5G, again we are expecting ultra broadband, right, which could be ranged from in Gbps speed again, so which will know, which will get the services like artificial intelligence wearable devices. So these are the applications, right, with the help of the different generations. And the other advantages as well as disadvantages as mentioned with that. So when we talk about first generation, it was a simple network, and the second generation, in that we use the multimedia and then SMS features. And when we talk about the third generation, which was high secured, and then when we talk about the mobility, I mean 4G, and which uses the mobile IP, right? Again, when compared to the 3G, which provided the highest speed internet connectivity. When you talk about the disadvantages of the different generations, right? When we talk about the first generation, which was the limited capacity, large phone size, and that time in near 1970s, 1980s, people they used the Cooper model, right, which was bigger in size, almost the size of the mobile phone, which was equal to the brick, right? And what are the other problem which they faced was that they were facing a battery problem, right? And even if they're charging throughout the day, and the power will last in, I mean, the charge will last in 30 minutes. Again, the other disadvantages of the second generation, which I could say that the low network coverage. And when you talk about this, the first generation, in the first generation, they were using a single transmitter, right? No high power transmitter, which was no almost 100-meter in height, and so that was designed to provide a coverage near about 50-kilometer radius, right? And one transmitter which was designed to provide a coverage near about a 50-kilometer coverage, right? And so that was no converter, or that was splitted into the different concepts, right? And instead of having a single high power transmitter, and they are designed to have the multiple small transmitter, right? They will provide a coverage area for maybe 2 kilometers or 3 kilometers, right? So that was the idea behind that, the generation of the 2G, right, which was used low network coverage. Again, when we talk about the 3G, which uses again more power consumption, again low network coverage, because so this is an addition with the 2G, with the extension of the 2G. Other than that, they have used, they no, they added some features, but the network coverage which uses again with the same, which provided a low network coverage. Again, when we talk about the 4G, which is a little hard to implement, because so that is going to use the ultra bandwidth, I mean ultra data rate. Again, so it was no, they have added a complex infrastructure which was required to implement this, right? So these were the certain the disadvantages of the different generations of mobile communications. Other than that, so we may imagine that what other features. So this is again the quick recap of the evolutions with the timeline, right? Again, in the year of 1990s, right, we could say that the briefcase model, and here which is started 1919 and which started using 1990s, right? Again, the 2G which takes place near about 2000, and again 3G which started from 2010. To say that, so which the 2G which other versions, GSM, and then GSM stands for Global System for Mobile Communication, and then GPRS, General Packet Radio Services, and then EDGE, which was no enhanced data group, right, for GSM, right? So these are the different services in every part, right? They try to improve the data rate, and they try to add some other features. When we talk about 3G, which came into the existence from the year of 2010, and they started using WCDA, that a wideband core division multiple access. Then they have started using the HSPA, which was providing uh, a 20 Mbps connection, standard connection HSPA, and then HSPA plus, which is again improved data speed, which was near about 25 Mbps, 30 Mbps per second, right? Again, when we talk about the 4G generation, which came from started in the middle of 2010s and 2014-15, and from that, so which was providing almost 100 Mbps connection, right? And so almost in 2020, some of the countries, they have started implementing this 5G. and hope very soon we may expect 5G in our country. And what are the futures of the mobile communication? So other than that, the 4G or 5G, and what other things we can expect maybe in future, maybe after 10 years or maybe after 20 years, right? What could be the change? What could be the major change we can expect in the telecommunication industry? Maybe 6G or 7G, it's the perception could be that, so the 6G generation when it comes to existence, so which may integrate 5G with the satellite network for global coverage, right? And so this is an again it's an assumption, or I could say that this is the proposed. We can expect that suppose if the 6G come into the existence in the cases, and you will not find any place where there is no network coverage. Even in some of the places in our country itself, some of the people they are facing some network issues. Even if I go to my native place, I am facing some issues with the network connectivity, right? Again, when this come into the existence automatically, and you will not find any places where there is no network coverage, and so this will try to provide a coverage throughout the globe, right? Apart from that, the ultra fast internet, and then smart home, and then smart cities, right? We can connect up from our devices to will be connected with the any part of the device, or any devices which might be far away from your locations. Already no, we are existing with the Wi-Fi and then WiMAX technology, right? Apart from that, when 6G come into the existence, in that case distance will never be a problem. At any time you can have the access to any other devices which is connected in the remote locations. Other than that, what other we can expect from the 7G, right? Again, the space roaming, and then world may be completely become wireless, right? You won't find any equipment which may work with the communication devices which may function, which is based on the wired. So these are the expectations of what are the features, right, when we use this kind of maybe come into the existence, whether it is 6G or 7G, right? So we'll start with the summary, right? What are the things we discussed so far in the last two sessions, right? Initially, we started with that. Different, I could say the different functionalities. I mean, the standardizations, right? We discussed about why we need to go for the standard in order to provide international operability, or if you want to, any manufacturer want to sell their products throughout the global market, they need to follow the standards, right? Again, standard is the again which is completely defined by the body, right? Again, so we discussed about the two bodies. The first one is that International Telecommunication Union, which is started in the year of 1947, which was recognized by United Nations, and the second organization body which we discussed was European Telecommunication Standard Institute, the EDSI, right? Again, so apart from that, so there are some other volunteers, right, which is 3GPP, third generation partnership projects, right? And so these will give the guidelines how for all type of services as well as the product manufacturing. Then we discussed about the different sectors of ITU. What are the thing we discussed? ITU-R, which completely taken care for the radio spectrum. Then ITU-D, which completely deals with that development of any telecommunication equipments and other technologies. And then ITU-T, which is completely taken care for the standardization of any technique or any other equipments, right? Then we discussed about the different generations, right? From the first generation, second generation, third generation, and then fourth generation, and then fifth generation, right? And also we discussed about any other maybe in the future, maybe what are the possibilities of having the sixth generation or seven generations, how that will change the complete telecommunication industry sector. So with this, and we are coming end of this session, and so these are the books which I used for the reference or for this topic preparations, right? Jason Skillard, again, which is a textbook which is described in the syllabus. Again, the Wireless Communication and Network by William Challenge, and then EPG Padasala, which is again the YouTube channel which I referred. And in case if you have any doubts related to this topic, and you can write it in the chat box. And meantime, I am ready to answer for that. Suppose if you forget to mention your attendance, quickly you can mention in the chat box for the purpose of attendance using the standard conventions, right? Your number, name, and roll number, all these three parameters separated by a pi symbol. Any doubts? The topic which I covered so far? If you have any doubts, you can write it in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and then you can free to ask.
Sir,
Yes.
in 4G, in 4G and 5G, they are also given different codes like WCDMA.
Yes, yes. But the thing is that depends upon the network coverage, depends upon their infrastructures. See, when we all these things, all these the fourth generation as well as fifth generation, they are going to use the WCDMA. WCDMA, which no a single transmitter or a single base station, which can provide a services to the millions of users, or I could say then more than a million or millions of users, and it's completely depends on that. See, as I mentioned, the CDMA, which stands for unique code, will be assigned. Say, for example, if there are three users, the first user will be assigned 0, and the second user will be assigned 1. Again, the third user will be assigned a 0, 1, right? The fourth user will be assigned 1, 1. Very similar to that, the as many users which are there in the network, each and every user they will be assigned with a unique code. By the way, there is no restriction with the as many users they can get a services. This is what the principle behind the WCDMB.
And sir, what is the full form of LTE?
Long-term evolutions. Long-term
Long
evolutions.
term.
Long-term evolutions. You might have heard about that Vivo LTE, that LTE, which is no 4G, actually shortly called as the LTE, which was abbreviation for the LTE is that long-term evolutions, right? Vivo LTE means that where you can send a Vivo LTE, voice over long-term evolutions, even if you don't have any network coverage. If you have internet connectivity, and you can make a call to other persons. And Geo, I mean, when you use a Geo, and that time they have started with this, you might have experienced that. And if you have the Geo app, and from the Geo app, you can make a call to any persons, irrespective of whether you have the balance in your main account or not. How many of you experienced making call with the Geo SIM card? Yeah, I mean, they gave the services, I mean, free of cost for more than 1 year. So people know that time they started using they started using the internet more, because they offered more than 4 GB per day. Almost no you can every people they were only lying on the 4G networks, and they were completely on the smartphones. They gave services, the free of cost services more than 1 year, and then they started billing our accounting cost again. Any other doubts?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome. In case if you have any doubts, you can write in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and then ask. Else we'll wind up the session. Okay, I hope it's clear for you, and thank you. So we'll see in the next session. Yes, you can leave the session. I'll stop it. Thank you once again. See you later.